Hi, how's it going, everybody? I've never done this before, so I'm going to give it a whirl. My channel's going to be MTB with me, Sam Mabane. I'm going to tell you guys how to convert to tubeless, a quick and simple way that I just did on my rear tire. Now, we'll do it on the front so you guys can learn. If you like it, click like, subscribe, see what else I come up with. All right, first thing we're going to do is pull our tire off our bike. If you don't know how to do that, you probably shouldn't be going tubeless, but it really depends on your bike. Most of the time, you're going to have a quick release hub. You'll slide the lever down, or pull the lever down anyway, unthread it. And I like to put hardware back where it belongs. That way it doesn't get lost. So now we've got our wheel off. Now I'm going to do something that you should do before you start any project. Is I could have washed the whole bike, but I'm only working on the wheel, and I did wash the whole bike last Sunday, which was just 6 days ago, and I'll wash it again this Sunday. But so I'm going to quickly wipe down the wheel and tire and everything else, the hub, spokes, and whatnot, with hot soapy water, and let it air dry real quick. And the reason I like to do this is that way, A, we don't have any dirt or grease or dust or anything else that's going to get our hands or tools or tubes dirty. More importantly, it's not going to, if you have really dirty wheels or tires, you can scratch the finish on your wheels. If you ride mountain bikes and you ride in the dirt, you're going to have scratches. It's just the way it is. But, you know, when you've got a set of carbon wheels or a nice aluminum finish, you'd like to keep it looking as nice as possible and not cause any undue damage by digging dirt or grit or sand or anything else into the finish while you're doing something as simple as changing a tire. And like I said, it's just going to be a real simple quick wipe down. We're not going for perfection, and we're going to let that air dry. Alright, now that our wheel and tire is scrubbed down well enough anyway and relatively dry, I'm going to set it on our table and remove our valve cap, and I'm going to let the air out of our tire. Now, with a Presta valve, you can actually unthread this core from the stem, and you can use a special tool or just a pair of pliers. If you look really closely, it's probably going to be hard to show, there are two flats ground into this stem. And if you can grab a hold of them tightly enough with a pair of pliers, you can not damage the valve or the threads on the valve, and you can unthread this core from the valve. So that's a real quick and easy way to let all the air out of the tire, or the tube specifically, because we are actually going to convert to tubeless. And we can remove that, set those guys aside. Clean workspace is always nice. And now the fun part is going to be breaking the bead on this tire. Now these are Bontrager, however you want to say it, carbon fiber wheels, and they are tubeless ready in more senses than one. And I'll explain that once we get the tire off. I'll be able to show you exactly what I mean by that. We're just going to use a standard tire lever and try and push this tire off of the bead. Now if you have aluminum wheels, or if you don't have a liner in already, this might be a little bit easier, but as these are tubeless ready, they actually came with a liner pre-installed. was unbeknownst to me, so I actually went out and bought new liners ahead of time, expecting to have to install them. Now, most tire shops or most places will tell you, oh, just tape up your rims. It's all you need. You can use Gorilla Tape, or you can use specific tire tape or wheel tape specifically, since that's what you're taping up. But seeing as these are carbon fiber wheels, I figured if Trek went through the time to make a tire liner, or Bottlinger anyway, made a tire liner, you might as well use it. So before getting everything I needed to go tubeless, I bought a couple of tire liners, or wheel liners again, specifically wheel liners. Now, after I pulled off the rear tire, I realized I didn't actually have to do that, because these came with a liner already installed from the factory. Now, my bike is a Trek Fuel EX 9.8, so it did come with the carbon fiber wheels, it's carbon fiber frame and whatnot and so forth, carbon fiber bars, but carbon fiber wheels, line carbon 30s, these are 29 by 30s. Mine actually came with a tire liner already installed. And I'll try and pull it out to explain what this is. So there you go. I don't want to damage this, but it doesn't matter if I do, because I do have replacements, like I said. This liner installs all the way around the wheel, snaps in place, and this negates the need to actually use tire tape or otherwise to seal off the holes in the spokes that would then leak when you're converting over to tubeless. So since I already have a tire liner, or again, I'm sorry, a wheel liner in place, my next step is to install a valve core. Now, I did get some CushCore inserts, CushCore XC cross country, and those actually come with valve stems. So you're ready to go there. And they came with this little handy little tool, which actually helps you remove this valve stem core sometimes. That one's a little snug, but we'll get there. So that is going to install through our tire liner, through our wheel, like so. And because we are going with liners, I'm going to point this from side to side so that when the air comes in and goes out, it'll go out to the side. And then once I install the liner itself, the CushCore, you'll see why I did that. Now we'll install our CushCore. Now this is again the XC cross country, extra light they call it. It says right on it, so that way you know. It has the size CushCore 29C, so we know this is going to be suitable for our 29-inch wheel. And you'll see a couple of slots around the side. This is so that air can actually get from the inside chamber out to the outside chamber of the tire. So I like to install this right over the top of our valve stem, or right next to our valve stem. And then we'll just stretch that out and around. with that set in place all the way around our wheel, we can get our specialized handy dandy bucket. Now we can get our tire and we can pay attention to the direction. Our rotor is going to be on our left side, so the wheel's going to be pointing the direction we want the tire arrow is to be pointing that way. So on our tire, we'll look for our directional arrow right here, and it says rotations that way, so we're actually pointing in the right direction. We'll set that over the wheel, and if you're fun, we want to make things line up. We'll try and line up our bontrigger down here. And like so. We've got our B and our B. So like I did right here, that bontrigger, I'm going to try to get that same spacing over here. So we're going to pull our insert back just a touch. And don't mind me sweating, I'm sitting here in my garage where it's a little bit warm, as I am in the Phoenix area of Arizona. To start, I get that lip started. Getting it started is probably the hardest bit. But I do have a trick that will help once we get that first edge set. PB Blaster, silicone spray. Any kind of silicone spray lubricant. A lot of guys aren't a big fan, but they say it eats rubber or does other stuff. You know what? I've used it on car restorations, on installing rubber, plastic, all sorts of trim. It just makes things slide in ever so nicely, and of course this already popped out. But this makes installing the tire over the wheel super simple, and it'll probably even help it on this step right here. Slide that back so our B's line up again. There we go. Noticed, excuse my fingers, that silicone spray makes it that much easier. Now we still are going to use a couple tire levers. I got one there. Did I throw them over here? There we go. I will use 2 tire levers. One on each side. And once you get there, again, this is where that silicone spray makes things super handy. Just come in, push that tire down inside that groove as much as possible. And again, come back with our tire levers. So I like to have a couple levers handy for when you drop them. And again, let's make sure that tire is down inside. There we go. I actually felt it fall into place down there. You can see I mean, maybe it's hard to see, but that tire, you see that line drops well into that bead. And now from there, I bet you I might be able to do this almost by hand. Look at that. Boom, like that. That side's in. Flip around and do the other side. And again, we're going to use silicone spray. Now I know silicone spray is safe for rubber. I don't know what the CushCore itself is, its compound is. It's a foam rubber of some sort, but just in case it's not silicone happy, try and keep the silicone off of it as much as possible. And like so. And same thing as last time, we'll start near the valve stem. Get that popped in place. And let's try and see what I mean by getting that tire to fall down into that groove a little bit further. Tire most of the way on, except for that last little bit. Again, we'll take our lever tool, push that all the way down, and try and get this last section on right here. Just like that. Now, we're going to try and get our tire back up into place. The easiest thing to do is probably going to be just inflating it from right here. So we're going to try to inflate it first. Nothing fancy. It's not a high pressure pump. It's just an air compressor. Any, 12 volt one that you would plug into your car, or again, even a manual pump if you had to do a floor pump. This same step would apply. It's just at this point we're going to pump it up to, I'll just put 40 psi. I don't think it's going to take that much, but we'll start. Pardon the noise. You're going to see that line out of place all the way around, and we're almost right there, just pop. Let's check our other side. Good. Right here, just a pop. That just popped. So with that, our tire, we'll pump it up to about 30 psi. Once it gets to 30, we're going to pull the valve stem, and then we can install our sealer. There we go. Just that simple. Now with that pumped up, we are actually sealed. For the beads, again, you probably heard them, but there's a little line, and you just want to make sure that that line is over the wheel and even all the way around on both sides. So we are. So now the fun part is I want to remove this valve stem. There we go. All right. Pardon my sweat. With that, we're ready to go. So, even though we're out of air, our tire is still held in place on that bead. And the insert is actually protecting our wheel from getting damaged at this point. So we've got some Bombardier tire sealant, TLR. Shake bottle vigorously before use. Shake vigorously! Is that vigorous enough? I hope. I've got a large single-use, never mind the sealant from my back tire, 100 ml syringe and silicone tube. I can't stick it through there, so we'll pull that off. And I'm just going to insert that into the sealant and check your wheel and tire manufacturer's recommendations. According to Trek, this wheel and tire wants 90 mLs. So I've sucked up 90 mLs of sealant. Make sure to put the lid back on that so that doesn't spill. And just like that, we'll through that valve core. And we'll rotate it back up this way. We don't want to suck out the sealant. All right. That's mostly just foam. So now we'll pull that off. Our damp rag. Wipe off the sealant. Excess silicone. We'll take our valve stem core, thread that back in. That handy dandy little tool that CushCore includes. Thread that back on. Make sure she's good and snug. Based on my weight and suspension in my bike, according to Trek, I should be putting this at 29 psi. Now, that's probably great for most people under most conditions, as again, check the recommendations. But according to all the guys that ride in my area, in the northern Phoenix area, they're all running about 23 to 25 psi. Dial that up on my indicator. We're good to go. This is a standard Schrader valve with a Presta adapter. And that's how I'm able to inflate that with a standard compressor. We'll spin our little valve back. And somewhere around here I've got a cool green cap that comes with the CushCore set and their stems that are included. And just like that, we are converted to tubeless with inserts and sealant. And that didn't take hardly any time whatsoever. And very minimal tools. And no, we're just going through and doing a swish and a swish. Getting all that sealant to coat everything inside this wheel. And CushCore even includes some cool stickers. It's just going to come off anyway once I wash it. So we'll just let it be. And with that, this can go back on the bike. Make sure our rotor's lined up with our caliper. And spin our axle in place. Lock it up. And just like that, we're ready to go. The thing that made the biggest difference was some silicone lubricant that makes sliding the tires over the wheels so much easier. Check with the lubricant that you get. This one specifically says it's safe for rubber, wood, vinyl, plastic, leather, metal. So again, check with the label, make sure it's going to be safe for the components you're using it on. But regardless, even after the fact, go through and wipe everything down. Soapy rag. And you're good to go. Hope you guys learned something. Make your next tubeless adventure a little bit easier. since so many people seem to have a really hard time with it. This way makes it super simple. Thanks guys, take care.